What an incinerator means for your community will be the topic of a meeting sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Susquehanna County at the Blue Ridge High School auditorium Tuesday evening. I'm Larry Souter. Tyler Corners is a privately held limited partnership exploring the possibility of developing a new industrial park near the Gibson interchange of Interstate 81. Their website says the proposal includes an industrial waste incinerator. The League of Women Voters of Susquehanna County has invited an environmental chemist to speak about the potential impact of an incinerator at its meeting this coming Tuesday evening at Blue Ridge. Professor Paul Connett tells us why he believes we should be concerned about it.
Well, you should be very concerned about the air emissions. You should be concerned about the fact that when you burn trash, you liberate very toxic metals like lead, cadmium, mercury from otherwise stable matrices, particularly plastics. When you burn waste, you also produce very toxic byproducts like dioxins and furans. And you should be very concerned about doing this in an agricultural area because whilst the stack, the chimney, disperses, dilutes the pollutants, nature reconcentrates those pollutants.
In addition to environmental concerns, Professor Connett has others.
It doesn't make economic sense because for every 3 or 4 tons of waste that you burn, you get 1 ton of ash, which is very toxic. You don't get rid of landfills. It's a waste of energy. Far more energy is saved by reuse, recycling, and composting than you get back from burning. It's a waste of job creation because you create 10 times more jobs with the alternatives of recycling, reuse, and composting.
Professor Connett has written books and produced videos on zero waste. He believes recycling rather than incineration and landfills is the key to sustainable economic development.
The proponents will try to make this an issue about technology. They will try to persuade you that there's some new technology from Japan or Europe that solves all the environmental problems that I've just mentioned. Number one, it's highly questionable if such a perfect technology exists. You always have the human factor. You're always hostage to the way these facilities are run.
Professor Connett says one question we should ask is why developers want to place an incinerator in Susquehanna County.
The real game in town of these developers is to find a place which feels so depressed economically and so preoccupied with other problems that they don't realize that they're being taken advantage of, that they are being tricked into accepting waste that nobody else wants, whether it's hazardous industrial medical waste or just trash, accepting waste from many, many other communities that they don't want and prepared to pay an arm and a leg to get rid of. So in other words, New Milford is being invited to go into the waste business. You're not solving your own problems. You're solving other people's problems.
As Professor Connett reminds us, this is not the first time an incinerator has been proposed for the New Milford area.
I was in New Milford about 25 to 30 years ago fighting another incinerator proposed, I think, for the same site as the current one. So it would be very interesting to come back to New Milford and watch deja vu. The citizens were successful last time keeping it out, and I hope with my help they'll be able to keep it out again.
As he advocates for zero waste, Professor Connett points to companies that are making money and creating jobs by recycling durable goods.
There's some very good models of zero waste companies out there making durable goods, like Xerox, for instance. In Europe, they have a fantastic operation where they're collecting old copying machines, Xerox is, from 21 different countries, bringing them back to the Netherlands, and separating these machines into 4 different categories. Reusing the whole machine in some cases, repairing the machine with new parts in other cases, disassembling the machines for reusable parts, and finally recycling materials. Now that whole operation is recovering 95% of the materials in those old machines.
Our biggest obstacle to zero waste is throwaway products that have a very short lifespan.
One of the best properties of plastics is their durability. They last for hundreds, even thousands of years. So to drink out of a plastic glass, you spend a few minutes doing that, and then when you throw that glass away, it's going to be in the environment for many, many years.
Professor Connett wants us to change our throwaway mentality.
We have to move our society from a throwaway society to a sustainable society, a linear economy to a circular economy. And unfortunately, one of the enemies of that absolutely necessary future is incineration.
Professor Connett plans to include his 10 steps for zero waste in his presentation at Blue Ridge High School this coming Tuesday evening from 7 till 9:30. For WPEL, I'm Larry Souder.